V for Vendetta seems like a movie that's fitting for our times, so I recently decided to rewatch it. And I was struck by its central theme, which wanted to suggest that everything is connected under the current of history. It's sort of a curious theme, because V for Vendetta does not want to claim that there's some kind of divine master plan that connects everything like clockwork. The idea requires more of a metaphorical interpretation. The biggest so-called connection that the movie has in mind is part of the backstory of V, who is of course the terrorist protagonist of the movie. V had been imprisoned in a brutal government facility during an old era of repressive conservative crackdown. And during his confinement, he had received letters written on toilet paper from a neighboring prisoner who passed them through a crack in the wall. The prisoner's name was Valerie Page. She had lived as an actress during her former life, and she had been arrested for being a lesbian. The letters recount her experience navigating a homophobic climate from childhood, right up until the point where she finally found happiness with another woman. And then she described what it meant for that happiness to be taken away after the government designated them as enemies of the state. Valerie died in prison before she ever met V face to face. And yet there's also a sense in which she was the person who sparked V's revolutionary campaign. It was the tragic beauty of this woman's letters that freed him from his fear of death more than his own suffering ever could. And it likewise gave social purpose to the violence that already burned in his heart. I think the overall moral that V learned from Valerie's letters is that we choose revolution for the sake of other people's stories. That's the reason why dictatorships like to control speech. They know that the idea of a single life has the power to liberate entire populations from the fear of death and connect them to a unity of cause and identity. And V's philosophy as a revolutionary tries to turn that connection into a weapon. His goal was never merely to blow up Parliament. That was more like the crowning spectacle of his revolt. The more important step took place in the year leading up to that explosion. V was living under a regime of censorship and fear. It was a world where it was still unsafe to share the idea of Valerie's life, or the millions of others who shared a similar power. And so V hacked and commandeered the social infrastructure of Great Britain in order to open up freer channels of communication amongst the citizens. V's plan was to orchestrate circumstances where people can communicate their stories to one another as a means of radicalization. So when he does finally manage to blow up Parliament on the 5th of November, the populace will in turn feel connected to that explosion, and they will embrace it as the expression of their will.